Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Please remember to like and subscribe. Maja Radanovic, who was on the 7th season, became one of the most controversial contestants to ever visit Dr. Nal's office after accusing her boyfriend of not losing weight, concealing food, and even staging one of the most phony falls in Kilos Mordes history. People are left feeling either amused by her performance or enraged by the constant justifications she offered. What we're actually witnessing, however, is a tale of deception, addiction, reliance, and mistakes that endangered her own life. And the remaining query is, to what far would someone go in order to avoid confronting the truth? You'll learn Maja's entire tale today, from her early years, when she used food as a means of expressing her love, to her destructive arguments with Christian, and finally to the breakdown that even Dr. Nal didn't take seriously. This is one of the most startling and captivating stories in the entire show, so stay tuned until the very end. If the Kilos Mordes program taught us anything, it's that each competitor takes with them not only a huge body but also a hefty past filled with tragedy, poor decisions, and absurd justifications. On live television, however, Maja Rada went so far that even Dr. Nal had to take a deep breath to avoid rolling his eyes. And we're not just talking about binge eating here, we're talking about manipulation, soap opera-worthy acting, and a fall that was so well-timed it seemed like it was taken from a poorly written screenplay. However, before we reach that notorious fall scene, we must take a step back and consider the true causes of Maja's destructive connection with food and those around her. Because it's never that easy, as usual. The plot of this episode actually begins long before the initial Houston appointment. As the daughter of Serbian immigrants, Ma grew up in Oregon, where food was a symbol of love rather than just a means of subsistence. And when I say food, I don't mean grilled chicken and a small salad. Breads, sausages, greasy meats, and the societal notion that children will be happier the more they eat were all part of the spread. In the episode, Anna, her mother, even acknowledges it. In our culture, having a lot of food around is essentially a sign of affection. You give a child food if they requested it. A sausage or slice of meat. The issue. There was a sad absence to this affection. Anna had to work 2 jobs to support the family after her parents' divorce. The outcome. After being abandoned, Maja turned to the refrigerator for solace that she was unable to obtain from embraces. She weighed more than 45 kilograms by the time she was 5 years old, which was more than double the typical weight for her age. Food and loneliness were used to grow and nourish the problem's root every day. She and her father's relationship only deteriorated. When he wedded, he produced 2 children who were much like Maja, slender, attractive, and ideal. The weight of being the missing piece in that puzzle was something she felt deep inside. I never appeared in a single family photo, even though they were slender and flawless. That meant something to me. My father was embarrassed by me. Abandonment ensued, as is typical of any excellent tragic tale involving huge weights. Dad simply gave up trying to pick me up for weekend trips because it was too far. Maja, who weighed about 140 kilograms at the age of 14, was devastated by her stepfather, who, despite his good intentions, just used food as a means of expressing his love for her. That was it. The adult world, with its independence and paycheck, was bound to become a calorie-filled amusement park in due time. Maja started eating without supervision or control as soon as she started working at fast food restaurants. She weighed about 225 kilograms at the age of 24. She was still able to go about her daily life, see friends, and even go on dates until that point. However, after she became engaged, her weight started to affect her emotionally as well as physically. She discovered that having children would be difficult or impossible due to her extreme obesity, and she was unable to fit into any bridal gown. Maja was devastated when the groom left the relationship because he couldn't manage the frustration. Naturally, the inevitable response was to consume even more food. Amidst all of this turmoil, her new boyfriend, Christian, appears. It appeared to be a pleasant relationship at first. He claimed that her weight was irrelevant, but he soon found himself taking on the role of caregiver. After taking a shower, Maja was no longer able to even dress herself. The first thing that struck me about Maja was her kindness. I evaluate her based on her character and personality rather than her stature. Hey Christian, are you able to assist me here? Even though Maja had only changed into her underpants, she was completely exhausted, as if she had just completed a marathon. Even though Christian was clearly unprepared for the impending mental and physical upheaval, he consented to accompany her to Houston in order to meet the well-known Dr. Now. The flight itself was a drama in and of itself, with complaints over the small cabin and breakdowns due to the lengthier walk from the gate to the taxi than the airport employee had stated. Maja weighed 312 kilograms when she arrived at the clinic. She was obviously stunned. Seeing that figure and realizing that's my weight, and how much I've allowed it to spiral out of control, is incredibly embarrassing. However, the mask began to come off when Dr. Nal inquired about my dietary habits. What kind of eating schedule do you follow? Every day, 2 to 3 large meals. According to what you informed me, you don't eat junk food or snacks. However, somehow that led to your weight reaching about 320 kilograms. Do you think that makes sense? Because I find it hard to understand. That was the tactful and wry manner that Drive-In said, I know you are. He was accurate when he said, lying. However, he was already concealing his daily visits to 4 or 5 drive-thrus, easily spending more than 500 reais on meals every day. At that point, Maja would either become a legend or a warning against dangerous weight gain. When she arrived to pick up the rental car, she was informed that a smaller car would have to be used since the SUV she had reserved was not available. Then came the fall, the drama, the complaints, and the tension. Maja simply let herself fall, saying she was unable to get into the smaller vehicle. Let me go, damn it, damn it. All right. That was it. Thing I would complete. I'm not sure what I'll do if I can't get up. She conveniently collapsed just in front of Christian, who the video shows was close enough to stop her if it had actually happened. Although assistance arrived, the entire incident seemed less like a genuine accident and more like a ploy to get the rental company to give her a different vehicle. And it was only after watching the video that Dr. Now realized something was wrong. That act was obviously going to fail when the matter reached him. The Mdaya incident began to transition into the stage where, after the fall, which was more of a performance than an accident, the audience recognizes that this is a true game of control and manipulation straight out of a movie, rather than merely a case of binge eating. Ironically, Christian was the one who suffered the most, not Dr. N. Christian and Maja's relationship began to deteriorate after they relocated to Houston to begin treatment. And it was just tiredness, not a lack of love between them. Christian had to help Maja get dressed, cook, clean, and cope with severe panic attacks. In addition to being her shield whenever she wished to avoid taking responsibility for her own shortcomings, it was like something from a Mexican soap opera. Early on, the breaking point was reached. Maja was already exhibiting blatant sabotage within the first month in Houston. Items not included in the 1,200-calorie diet were purchased during the supermarket shopping trip. Additionally, she would become defensive whenever Christian attempted to question her. Flipping the blame was the same old tactic. She made Christian feel bad for not understanding her suffering rather than owning up to the fact that she was not following the diet. Maja lost 42 kilograms in the first 2 months, despite indications of sabotage. Her weight dropped from 312 kilograms to 270 kilograms. Dr. Nal found it impressive. Okay. Today you're weighing 271 kilograms, right? Very good. Seeing that you've lost this weight, we're going to approve you for bariatric surgery. Excellent. However, his look was one of mistrust rather than joy since, in his experience, individuals like Maja often get off to a strong start before becoming mired in their own justifications, and he wasn't mistaken. Behind the scenes, even for those who don't, the first calorie reduction typically yields rapid results. They adhere to all directions to the letter. Later on, when discipline is more important than the first impact, the true test will be conducted. Ma also appeared prepared for that stage. Dr. Nal asked Christian to certify whether he was providing Maja with appropriate assistance during one of the most difficult sessions. His response: total quiet. Is he backing Christian, then? He is present. He should say it to me. Doesn't want to respond to my query? It was uncomfortable. Dr. Nal continued, but there was still no response. He was obviously too exhausted to lie any longer. Ma noticed, of course. This is betrayal, in my opinion. And the attack came full force after the doctor departed. I despise you. Christian, I'm furious with you for treating me like this. Why are you unable to just respond to the questions? It's wrecking everything and interfering with my bariatric surgery. At one point, she closed the door to prevent Christian from leaving the room because of the extreme degree of control and dependence. This is not merely domineering conduct. It is an obvious indication of emotional abuse, which would be immediately reported if it were the other way around. From there, the roller coaster completely went down. She was already blaming her boyfriend for everything, including her nervousness, her lack of results, and even Dr. Nal's criticism, even as the arguments with Christian grew more intense. When she called her mother and attempted to coerce her into taking down Christian, the situation became much more bizarre. For example, "Mom, Christian is destroying everything at the doctor's office." What appeared to be desperation was actually total control. The irony was that she seemed to be saying, "I'm calling backup if I can't win this argument alone." She pretended to be 13 years old despite being 33. Additionally, she was not given any leeway by the internet. The doctor's patience was wearing thin at the following visit, as forums and groups devoted to the show began calling Maja one of the most cunning competitors in the history of Kalos Mordace. She had obviously returned to consuming fast food behind the scenes. Small mistakes that, when compounded, were sufficient to halt any advancement. It's impossible to avoid contrasting Maja with other Kalos Mordace competitors who faced comparable difficulties but were prepared to. Early on, they accepted responsibility and continued the treatment. But rather than beating the scale, Maja was more focused on winning arguments. Maja treated Dr. Nal as though she were arguing with a store manager who refused to offer her a discount, whilst others approached him with vulnerability. She had a belligerent attitude and was not receptive to education. The mood grew intolerable until Christian sent a brief, icy message one day. I received a message from Christian on my way to the market, informing me that he was going, that his mother had purchased a bus ticket for him, and that tomorrow morning, she departed. Not because she had lost her partner, but because she had lost her caregiver. Maja reacted as though the world was ending. The logistics were more worrying to her than the emotional isolation. And it's precisely because of this pragmatic perspective that so many people characterize their relationship as toxic on both sides. He put up with it for so long, and she used him. Maja was sure to affirm for herself that her adventure in mortal weights would be difficult if there was any doubt about it. Her life was filled with excuses after Christian left. Fake tears and relapses. Those that are obvious to the viewer are more for show than genuine feeling. Without Christian to assist her, Mia demonstrated at her subsequent visit with Dr. Nal that she had not only stagnated but had essentially regressed. She only shed 4 kilograms when she arrived, rather than the 50 she had promised. To be honest, anyone who truly followed the diet could have easily defeated that. Dr. Nal called her out without wasting any time. I understand that times are difficult, but if you use that as a justification, life is difficult, but using excuses to overeat will never help you lose weight. Her entire enchanted world collapsed when he told her that her surgery would not be performed unless she shown genuine dedication. Or, at the very least, that's the dramatic effect she aimed for in another scenario. However, everything he said just served to reaffirm what everyone already knew in their hearts. Maja needed someone to blame all the time. Maja ended the show essentially where she began, lacking discipline, emotional support, and the courage to admit her faults. Maya's weight remained unchanged. No boyfriend, no surgery, no human beings, and no public atonement. That signaled to many viewers that we were seeing one of the most terrible journeys in the history of the series. However, this is the unexpected turn of events. Her life didn't end there, despite the fact that she blew her first appearance on the show. She persisted, assured Dr. Nal that she would improve, and surprisingly, she did. Years later, in the current mortal pounds, she finally lost enough weight to be eligible to undergo bariatric surgery. She acknowledges that her life is much better now than it was before the program, despite the fact that she is still not at her optimum weight. There are hints about her new phase on her social media accounts. She shared a full-body picture of herself in July 2022, revealing a much better physique. The caption suggested that she was now leading an active lifestyle, traveling and going out frequently. Her body isn't the only thing that has changed. Her attitude also seemed to be improving. Despite being very quiet on social media and never being particularly active on Facebook or Instagram, Mia has begun to share more of herself. She has developed new hobbies. Additionally, she has been spotted having fun in settings that would have been unimaginable for someone who was previously bedridden. It resembles a tiny joke from fate. The girl who was doomed to remain hidden behind excuses now occasionally appears and shines in public settings. Fans of the show still have differing opinions regarding Maja. She is viewed by some as the cunning villain who will even stage a fall to obtain her desired outcome. Others believe she was just another victim of an absentee upbringing and a lonely, food-focused adult existence. As usual, the truth is most likely somewhere in the middle. Yes, Maja made mistakes, lied, and manipulated, but she also stood up for herself when no one else did, including Christian, Drive-In, and the audience. Even though the program was a complete failure for her, perhaps it served as the reminder that she wouldn't have much time left if she didn't change. Now, I'd like to know your thoughts on Maja's journey. After the show, do you think she actually changed her life for the better? Or is it just another variant, in your opinion? Social media makeup? I'd like to know if you were likewise annoyed by her maneuvers or if you secretly believe she should be given credit for recovering off camera. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. In order for me to thank you later in your comment, please include a "I stayed" if you have read this far. That's everything for now. I'll see you in the next video and give you a big embrace.